The Walnut Grove Dam disaster of 1890 remains the largest natural catastrophe in Arizona's history, even to this day. Situated on the Hassayampa River north of Wickenburg, Arizona, the dam was originally constructed to support hydraulic mining and irrigation efforts. During this period, Prescott, Arizona served as the capital of the Arizona Territory before its statehood in 1912. The tragic failure of the dam in 1890 resulted in the loss of over 100 lives. Constructed between 1886 and 1888, the project was primarily driven by the Bates family. However, their mismanagement significantly contributed to the disaster. Although the dam was intended to facilitate gold mining activities, it collapsed before it could fulfill its purpose. In 1863, Pauline Weaver and Joseph R. Walker stumbled upon gold along the tributaries of the Hassayampa River, sparking an Arizona gold rush. The river experiences significant seasonal fluctuations, often leading to massive flash floods. As one prospector vividly described, the river was known for its extremes, where at times it could accommodate an ocean steamer, yet during other seasons, the fish would need canteens to survive. In this setting arrived two siblings, Wells and DeWitt Bates, who staked their claim with 63 placer gold mining rights in 1881 along the Hassayampa River. Their site was merely a mile from Rich Hill, Arizona, where the Weaver and Walker gold rush had taken place. The Bates brothers acquired the Marcus mine nearby. Aspiring to find great wealth, they aimed to emulate the success of the California gold rush by employing hydraulic mining. However, the unpredictable nature of the Hassayampa River made such operations challenging throughout the year. To address this, the brothers decided to construct a dam. In 1883, serious efforts were made to acquire land and funding for the dam. Wells Bates dedicated a portion of that year to the region, managing legal matters associated with dam construction, such as asserting control over all the water in the Hassayampa. The brothers formed the Walnut Grove Water Storage Company with the specific aim of constructing a dam. A location about 20 miles north of Wickenburg was selected for the dam, primarily for gold mining, but also for general irrigation purposes. The initial designer was William P. Blake, who was let go shortly after starting work in 1886. Blake, a prominent geologist and Eli Whitney's grandnephew, appears to have been brought onto the project mainly to attract investors due to his reputation. Although he had extensive mining knowledge, Blake lacked experience in civil engineering or dam construction. He accompanied Wells Bates to the dam site in February 1886 to secure further rights for construction and assess the potential for gold extraction. Blake returned to the site in August 1886, along with two of his sons. They supervised the excavation of a quarry for dam fill, the construction of roads, a sawmill, an office and housing for workers, as well as the initial construction of the dam itself. In Christmas 1886, Wells Bates and Charles Henry Dillingham visited the dam, which was described as a pleasant occasion for all. Blake even mentioned they enjoyed a fatted turkey. However, Dillingham seemed irritated by a conversation he overheard between Blake and another local prospector the day before. Consequently, on January 15, 1887, Dillingham returned and dismissed Blake. Despite feeling bitter about the situation and believing he had done the most challenging tasks for little compensation, Blake eventually agreed to leave on January 30th. Nagel and Leonard, a firm from San Francisco, took over, with N.E. Robinson assuming the role of chief engineer, formerly held by Blake. Robinson demonstrated superior engineering skills compared to Blake. He overhauled the dam's design, reconstructed the leaky core, and advocated for a substantial spillway measuring 55 feet wide and 12 feet deep. However, Robinson's design also increased the dam's height significantly to 110 feet, surpassing Blake's by 35 feet. Among the various engineers involved, Robinson appeared to be the most competent. However, he soon realized that the Bates brothers prioritized stock sales over constructing a sturdy dam. Despite Robinson's exceptional work, he was dismissed for reasons unknown just 4 months after his hiring. The final design was handled by Walter Gillette Bates, a nephew of the Bates brothers who lacked prior experience, having previously worked as a professor. Shortly after, Robinson's capable assistant, John M. Currier, resigned, citing concerns about the poor quality of work by the Nagel and Leonard firm. Failures attributed to Nagel included a bulge in the dam, careless dynamite blasting near the structure, and downsizing the spillway to 20 feet wide and 5 feet deep. Additionally, the spillway was relocated next to the dam instead of being placed half a mile away. Despite these alterations, the dam was to maintain its increased height. Nagel continued as the chief contractor, overseeing a workforce of 200 men working around the clock in shifts. There was no engineer supervision over Nagel's work for about a month. Luther Waggoner assumed the role of chief engineer on August 10, 1887. Waggoner raised concerns about the inadequacy of the spillway plan, but his objections were largely disregarded. Construction of the spillway commenced in December 1887, resulting in dimensions of 26 feet wide and 7 feet deep. At this juncture, a sudden alteration in design occurred. Initially, the dam was intended to be discharged using a flume system to supply the hydraulic works in various ranches. However, this plan was discarded in favor of constructing a small diversion dam approximately 14 miles downstream, which would receive the dam's discharge back into the river. Progress was sluggish in 1888 due to ineffective management. Dillingham Bates was ousted as president of the Walnut Grove Water Storage Company and replaced by the affluent Henry Spingler Van Buren. The fact that the project was supervised from afar in New York further diminished its construction quality. Van Buren appointed a new chief engineer, Alexander Oswald Brody, who later served as territorial governor of Arizona. The dam was technically completed in 1888. Efforts to enhance the dam and prepare downstream areas for mining continued until its collapse, with Brody overseeing these endeavors as a nominal engineer. The total cost of completing the dam amounted to $300,000, equivalent to $8,962,025 in 2024. Starting on February 16, 1890, a period of intense rainfall ensued. Around 7 inches of rain poured down not only at Walnut Grove, but also upstream at Fort Whipple. This event was gauged as a 25-year flood, meaning there was a 4% chance of such a flood occurring in any given year. In response, Dam Superintendent Thomas H. Brown ordered emergency efforts to widen the spillway. However, by the 21st, the spillway was being eroded by the deluge to such an extent that its bank nearest to the dam ruptured. With water now eroding the dam itself, Brown became certain that its failure was imminent. Seeking someone familiar with the area to warn of the impending disaster, Brown enlisted the help of Dan Burke, a blacksmith known for his frequent drinking. Despite his flaws, Burke was well acquainted with the territory. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Brown provided him with the camp's finest horse and instructed him to hasten and alert those downstream that the dam was on the verge of collapse. However, despite Brown's noble intentions, he committed a fatal error by compensating Burke in advance for the task. Instead of heading downstream as instructed, Burke made a detour to a nearby bar, where he indulged in a drink using the money he had received up front. Becoming intoxicated, Burke failed to alert anyone about the impending disaster. By 9 p.m. that night, water began overflowing the dam. The pressure on the dam caused the solid steel cables holding the intake tower to snap. Shortly after midnight on February 22nd, the Walnut Grove Dam collapsed, releasing 4 billion gallons, 15 billion liters, of water down the canyon. By 2 a.m., a 50 feet tall wall of water reached the diversion dam. The flood swept away the workers' camp and company headquarters, resulting in the death of approximately 50 workers. Another messenger, William Accard, who had previously found Burke intoxicated at a ranch, was also caught and killed by the deluge before he could reach the camp at the diversion dam to warn them. The floodwaters continued towards Wickenburg, destroying settlements along the way, claiming more lives, and devastating the ranch owned by Henry Wickenburg. The true death toll remains uncertain, with estimates suggesting as many as 150 fatalities. The deceased dam workers were laid to rest in Wagoner, Arizona. News of the catastrophe reached Prescott, the county seat, at 8 p.m. that evening. Sheriff Bucky O'Neill swiftly organized a rescue party, riding downriver to bury bodies and offer aid to the survivors. The previous year, the Johnstown flood caused by a dam collapse resulted in the deaths of over 2,200 people. This event heightened the significance of the Walnut Grove Dam collapse. The story received front-page coverage in the New York Times. A week later, John Wesley Powell delivered a blunt and critical assessment of the collapse to Congress. Powell highlighted the dangers of relying on an uninformed engineer's belief in the dam's safety, emphasizing the necessity of conducting hydrological surveys for dam construction. He stressed the importance of engineers planning for all possible contingencies. Victims wasted no time in taking legal action against the dam company. Among the plaintiffs were 2 orphaned girls seeking $50,000 in damages for the loss of both parents, and Henry Wickenburg, who sought $8,000 for the destruction of his ranch. However, the orphans' case was dismissed due to technicalities. The chaotic construction process resulted in widespread blame shifting, but no individual or entity was ever held accountable. While the Walnut Grove Water Storage Company escaped legal liability, it couldn't evade financial ruin. With the dam gone, bankruptcy was inevitable. The company owed $100,000 to the Farmers Loan and Trust Company, and its placer claims were foreclosed upon in October 1891. Without its gold mines, the company effectively ceased to exist. Historian David B. Dill Jr. highlights that the Walnut Grove Dam was doomed from the start. He blames Blake's lack of experience, the company for deviating from Robinson's plans, Nagel and Leonard for their poor construction practices, and management for neglecting to warn downstream communities. He points out that the disaster received little attention in Arizona, reflecting a lack of corporate responsibility and a tendency to idolize the wealthy. Nonetheless, the dam's collapse served as a cautionary tale for dam builders in the Southwest, leading to more careful planning in future projects. The dam was never reconstructed. Today, all that remains are remnants like a diversion tunnel, construction roads, and parts of the spillway. The river downstream from the dam continues to attract gold prospectors,